All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Olivia, and I also have Elizabeth, and we're both here just to chit chat about our two favorite topics, branding and social media. So I will let Elizabeth introduce herself and give you an overview of who she is and what she does.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I am the boss at Iterate Social. You can find me at iteratesocial.com. I'm a social media manager, and I also do consulting. So that's coaching. I coach people on how to use social media. And I have an online course coming out that's called Quietly Unstoppable Digital Marketing for Introverts. I am an introvert and I've had struggles, but I've overcome them when it comes to marketing. And I think I'm rocking it. So I can teach you how to rock it too. And yeah, that's what I'm all about. How about you, Olivia? What are you all about?
We got to make sure to go back to the topic of introverts online because I'm an introvert as well. So we definitely need to hear more about that. But my name's Olivia Omega, and I am a social media strategist per se, but I specifically focus on personal branding. I have been in advertising, marketing, and branding for over 14 years now, and I've taken everything that I've learned from an agency life working with huge consumer packaged goods and apply it now to individuals. So anyone who has an expertise, whether you're an author, a coach, a strategist, consultant, a teacher, anyone that has an expertise that they want to share with the world, I help them figure out not only build their brand with regard to logos and websites and how to present yourself online, but it goes a lot back to strategy on who are you targeting, who are you in general, and how do you promote yourself in the best light to make the most of your business. And I have a book out called Beautifully Branded, specifically the Girl's Guide, specifically for women, on how to brand yourself and how to grow your business and your brand.
And the cover's adorable. And I recently learned that your daughter did the illustrations.
She did. Yeah, she's so excited. So here's the cover. I know it's backwards, but and I had one person particularly who's a very big publisher say, don't ever put your cover on the face of your book because you come across as conceited. Like, unless you're Oprah, don't ever do anything like this. But if I'm promoting yourself, if I'm telling people that you have to put your face out there, then I have to kind of walk the walk. So yes, I put my face on the cover, and then there's all of these little, if you can see them, doodles and stuff that my daughter drew. So she's just excited as I am about the book.
Well, that's another topic, but there you go with if you feel good about something and you know that it's right, go ahead with it, even if someone tells you that it's wrong and it's not right. Because I say rule breakers are the new rule makers.
Yes, there are. And I just think about all of the big stories out there of people making it big and how many times people told them they couldn't do it. I mean, Michael Jordan and him getting cut from teams and not basketball teams is, a big story that we hear all the time. But I think everyone out there who's ever made anything of themselves and has grown anything have had to break rules. So I say break away. Okay, so what's our first topic? We're chit-chatting about social media and branding. So we've got questions that people have posted. We also have questions that we just get asked all the time. As a branding expert, I get asked similar questions all the time from people, and I know Elizabeth gets similar ones about social media as well. So if you're listening to us, if you're live on Google Hangouts with us, click on the Q&A button and go ahead and post your questions. You can also post them on the Facebook event page if you're there as well, and we'll love to get to your questions. But Elizabeth, I have one for you to start this off.
Okay.
As a social media introvert, it has taken a lot for me to post pictures of myself and to actually show my face. I do it all the time now, but again, it's because I have to walk the walk and do what I'm actually telling people to do. But a lot of people ask, do profile pictures on our multiple social media platforms need to be the same picture? Can we have fun with it? Can we post a picture of our dog or our cat? Or, you know, what are the rules around profile pictures across social media platforms?
Well, in my experience, I think it's a really good idea to have a professional but fun photo that shows your personality, but make it very clear and close up, because some of the profile pictures are very small and you can't see them. I also think that they should be the same and that they should be your beautiful face, because when someone goes and looks for you on a platform and you know, maybe your handle's the same, maybe it's not. It varies with different people depending on what they can get or not. But if it's not the same, then you want them to be able to recognize you and know that that's you. If it is the same, it still goes that way. Sometimes if your picture's different, people will be like, oh, I don't know if that's the same person. And on social media, as soon as people start thinking about stuff like that, you've lost them. So, yeah, I think you should make them the same. And Guy Kawasaki said you should make them the same too. So
Yes.
there, he's legit. So I'm legit too, by the way. But
What's so funny too is if you have a name that's not as unique,
mm-hmm.
Then there's lots of you out there, and so it can be really challenging to find people, and you've got different pictures and you don't know, and then you end up following or friend requesting somebody that you have no idea who they are. And it's funny that with my name being fairly unique, Olivia Omega, there is an Olivia Omega. There's actually several, which is really eerie to me, but there's one specifically on Facebook and Instagram with a very similar handle. So I want to make sure that my face is there. So at least when people stumble upon the two, they can say, well, this is definitely her because it's clear. You could see my face. I don't have sunglasses on or anything like that. So I think that's definitely important.
Yeah.
Sure.
Make sure they're bright too. Like if I have to squint like this to see it, not a good idea.
Yeah. No, what is it? Backlit photos when the light is behind you and then you become like a shadow. Right, so no, actually I can see you really well. So it needs to be the front lit photos that the light is in front of you.
Yeah.
So you can see. Okay, tell me more about social media for introverts, for the people like me that it really takes a lot of courage and guts to just interact with people in general. I find myself, I'm actually better on social media because, I don't know, it's safer. Whereas if I'm in a room full of people, and I'm sure you can attest to this as entrepreneurs, like we have to interact, we have to network, and so we can, and we do, but it's also extremely draining. And I think social media can be extremely draining. What are your tips for introverts?
So this is something that I come across a lot, and also I experience for myself. A lot of introverts actually like social media, and they think that it's easier than going and networking in person, but it is still an energy drain, and it's about preserving your energy and creating guidelines and systems in your business that will work with you when you have energy and then allow you to do work and quiet work when you don't. So, you know, I do schedule a lot of my social media, and we were going to talk about that later. I also, when I interact with clients, it's in the morning. When I answer comments on social media, it's in the morning. So I'm not someone who necessarily responds immediately, but I do get to it, usually at least twice a day. And that's just so when I'm on, I'm responding and engaging so that it's genuine and authentic. And when I'm not, I'm usually creating. So in the times that I feel a little more tired or my energy has been drained, I'm usually writing a blog post or doing management work for my clients because that's very safe for me, for my energy, because I'm not myself. It's like being an actress. And yeah, so scheduling, interacting during your peak times, and yeah. Also, I have found that if you create guidelines, like I actually have a handout, and I can give a link to it as well, where you go through, and it's kind of a branding little handout, but it goes through like making what is true to yourself and what kind of content you create, and yeah.
So it's almost like you're trying to set up and create a voice for yourself that you can extend online and
Yeah.
knowing what that.
Yeah, and sometimes for introverts, that's not necessarily your full self. Like online, I appear very confident, and people get surprised that I'm an introvert. And then if you see me at a conference, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Like, hi, I'm going to go sit here by myself now. But online, I have kind of pumped myself up. And I'm like, this is what I got to do, and I'm going to do it, and this is my persona. And obviously, I'm not being fake. I'm very much myself, but it is getting in a headspace. And again, it's like being an actress.
Yeah, I think that's funny. It's like a kind of a tricky balance. I'm exactly the same way where I appear to be very outgoing and, go get them online. And then, yeah, when you see me at a conference, I'm like, I don't know anybody here and I don't want to talk to anybody. But it is a fine line between um, being yourself and being authentic, which is the number one key thing to branding and to really attracting the right clients, is to be authentic and be you, not someone else. But then there is this kind of a little bit of a persona that you put on, and I guess acting, I think that's a good way to put it. But how do you act and still be yourself? It's tricky and funny, but once you get the flow of it, it can be very effective.
Yeah. And I honestly have sat down with a coach and written out my brand's personality and how it fits into my values and what I believe in, and what pieces of my personality are going to be in there. So again, it's not fake, but I have created a system where I can, function and flourish in without giving all of myself. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that kind of is a good segue into one of the questions that I get asked a lot with regard to branding is, well, what's the big deal about branding? And is branding more than just a logo and a pretty website and pretty headshots? And a sad thing is people will invest a lot of time and money in a really great website, a great logo, great picture, so everything looks really good, and then they make no money in their business and kind of wonder, well, what happened and why? And it's because a lot of times they're missing that piece that you just said of sitting down with a coach to say, what are my brand values? What are my personal values as a person, as a woman, as a mom? And how do they relate? How do they translate into my business? What parts of my personality am I going to share? What parts am I not going to share? What target market am I after? That's huge. I can't stress how important that is. And a lot of times, every entrepreneur I talk to, pretty much every single one, doesn't want to narrow down their target because they don't want to miss out on potential customers, potential sales, etc. So they're like, oh, I'd kind of like to work with women, but I could work with anybody. And really my target is anyone. Or, my target is men and women aged 20 to 50, which is everyone. So really narrowing that down to say, I really focus on this thing for these people, and this is how it goes back to my brand, will allow people to really grow and scale their business. And a quick example is I found someone on Instagram. She is a business coach for wedding planners. And I just thought that was really cool because she's narrowed her target down very specifically. And so all of her messaging and even the expertise that she offers is specifically for wedding planners. So if you're a wedding planner, you're kind of dumb if you don't hire this woman, or she's made it pretty much like a no-brainer. If you're in that business and you want to grow, you better hire her versus any other coach out there that's coaching women. So I think that important to think about the strat foundation. Who am I? Who's my target? And what does my brand personality stand for and look like before ever touching and going towards, let me build a website and a logo and throw pictures up there.
So a little anecdote about that, even though I know better right away, I mean, you do have to have something up there when you start a business, but right away I hired a designer, and I didn't know I was in marketing research. So I worked at Stanford and I did marketing research, and I also ran their social media, and I decided I was going to start my own business. But I didn't know who I was going to attract at this point because I had never owned my own business. I didn't know who I was going to work for. I thought I was going to work for tech companies at first because they would pay me. And I hired a designer, and it became very clear that those were the people I did not want to work with, and that my logo and my website was just totally wrong. So then I came up with my own design. You guys, you should always hire a designer if you're not a designer. Yes. Okay, maybe I should like make a blog post about my iterations about because I created my own, and then I went to another designer. I was like, this is what I want. It's perfect. And he was like, ooh, I don't think so, but I'll make it for you. He probably shouldn't have done that, but it was my fault. And that was wrong. I could never even put that one up because it was just wrong. It made no sense. And then finally, after I left it for a little bit, and then finally, after I had figured out what I was doing, I hired someone else, and she came up with the logo that I have right now, which I really love. The other thing about that is I didn't narrow down my focus at first either, because again, I was afraid of missing out. And when you're first starting and you don't know, maybe that's okay for a little while to see who's coming at you and who wants to hire you. As long as you're creating content and you keep pushing content out, you'll be able to gauge who you're attracting or not. Because if you're just sitting there and you don't have a blog going and you're not pushing out content, then there's no way to attract people. But yeah, so I mean, just real quick, I was going to work with tech companies. I was going to work with makers. I was going to work with life coaches. And then for a while there, I dropped social media management because I was like, I'm just going to be an online course teacher. And then I realized that I was really attracting introverts because I'm an introvert and I'm a pretty sensitive person. And the way I address people is in a very positive, sensitive way. So that's who I was attracting. And those were the clients I loved the best. So that I was like, done. And then for my management, I work with all sorts of people, but it has to be, we go through a long interview process to make sure we're a right fit. And it has to be someone who has a product. So, yeah,
That's
it can be so don't fret. It can be a process, but just know, you know, in the end, you want to be as focused and small as possible. Yeah, my business has been doing so much better since I've been focused.
Oh, that's good. That's so good to hear. I was going to say that a lot of times we, you know, once we kind of settle in and kind of feel ourselves out and what we have to offer, we usually attract people just like us. So like you said, you attract introverts. And I usually say, whatever you're doing that really just kind of makes your heart sing. So we know we have those things that we do that we just love. And then we have things that we do that we can do that are just, you know, okay. And I would say for me, managing social media communities, like managing Facebook pages, is just something that I can do, and I do, but I don't like it at all. And then even clients, like I have clients I work with that I get off the phone and I'm just like, oh, I love their energy and we got so much done, and it really does make my heart sing. And then you've got those clients that you just dread and they make you want to cry. And so that, I think, is trusting your gut and your feeling on as far as narrowing down your target and figuring out what you should be doing with your life, not what you can do with your skills. So
And you can let those clients go. That's a little secret. Not so secret. You can fire your clients.
Yes.
And when you do, you're making room for more amazing clients, and you're going to enjoy your business more. Yeah, I have fired some clients.
It feels really good. It's scary, but it feels really good.
Yeah, and it's just not a right fit. It's not out of, anything else, but yeah.
So touching back on the point you made about designers and hiring the right designer, I think that is very important as well. And especially when you start to get into web development, and not all web designers are graphic designers, which is something I learned a long, long time ago, that you have art directors and graphic people that have such a great eye and are really creative and get you and can really take what's in your head out and put it on paper or on the computer screen, which is tricky to do. And then you've got web developers who don't have that skill at all, but they're amazing at what they do as far as the functionality and developing an actual site. And so working at a big agency, I had both. I had my designer, and then I had a developer who would bring the designer's designs to life. And so just making sure that when you're hiring someone to do a website or logo for your business, that you're hiring the right person. And the example I use is that for a house, and I always talk about a website being your home, it's your house. And when you walk into a house, you want it to feel beautiful and amazing and really exude. So you hire a home developer, and they do their blueprints. And so this is where the kitchen goes and where everything's going to go. This is how big the bedroom is and all that stuff. They take the blueprints, they give it to the builder. The builder builds that house, and then you hire an interior designer to actually decorate that house to make it feel like home and to make it feel like you. You would never hire a home builder to decorate the inside of your house to be your interior designer, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So just making sure you've got that in mind when you are looking for the perfect designer to meet your needs.
So when you're working with people on branding, do you talk about like how to hire a designer and what they should go over with their designer, like based on what you guys came up with your branding?
Yeah, I actually do a lot different things just depending on what the client needs. But again, looking at strategy first. Who are you? What are your values? What really, gets you excited in life, and how can we translate that to the specific target, et cetera, et cetera. Once we do that, I actually do exercises with my clients to create mood boards or visualizations so that if they do hire a designer, they can say, okay, based on the positioning and branding work I did, here are the words that I want, to my brand to represent. So are you sexy, sassy, and smart? Are you, laid back and lovable? I don't know. We come up with those keywords. Yeah. And then also visuals, so that here's the positioning package. Like here's everything all together in a neat little bundle to hand off to a designer, web developer, etc. And I do web development, I do design work, but I'll only do it for a client if I've done the strategy up front and the positioning. This is one of those things where we were talking about doing what you love and stop doing the stuff that you don't like to do. When people are like, can you just design a logo for me? I say no now. Or can you just design a website? I say no. But if they're allowing me to take them through that positioning and branding process, then I'm excited to actually do that work.
Yeah. Even for my management clients, I go through a branding process because everything you put out there is an extension of your brand, and I can't just take stuff and post it without really understanding. I mean, I even go as far as to like ask them words that they use all of the time and sentences and punctuation and like.
Yeah. You got to have that voice. It's funny, as I did work for an energy drink, and the way I talk is definitely not how these guys who started this company who mountain bike all the time talk. So we did have to talk about that. What words do they use? And just making it consistent, because the worst thing you guys can do on social media, write this one down. This is the biggest one of, I have a whole list of pet peeves, but this is one of the biggest no-nos on social media, is to not be consistent with who you are. And an example of that would be words you use and the way you talk and the tone. But let's say you, always post inspirational quotes and you're always very positive in what you're saying and doing on your Facebook page. And then suddenly you post like a real weird, crazy, raunchy video or something. I don't know, something completely left. You're going to leave people like, wait a minute, what happened? And who are you? And what are you, it's, think about any relationship you have, whether it's with your parents, your significant other, best friends. When they do something completely out of character, it kind of doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. Like what's going on here? So consistency is definitely key across all platforms.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a Gemini, so I actually have to catch myself sometimes. But again, I have guidelines set. I always look at them before I post stuff, or if I'm making my calendar, I look at it. I even have words that I have removed from my vocabulary because I don't like it when other marketers use them. Like,
that's a great point.
Have to is one that I don't use. Anything really negative, like 10 things you're doing wrong, I never write my blog titles that way. Yeah, so I mean, it's just really getting specific is helpful.
That's interesting. So let's talk about cursing. This comes up all the time. It actually literally, I think it comes up all the time as far as people asking me, is it okay to curse on my Facebook page and on, Twitter and these different things? Personally, I don't do it, but I also don't curse in real life. So I'm being true to my brand. So for someone who does in real life, and that's part of who they are and part of their brand, I kind of have a little bit of a debate, because my philosophy is attract and repel. You want to attract the people who are like you, and if you curse and people are offended, then they're offended and you're going to repel them. It's better to have people love you and hate you than to have everyone just be like, she's all right, she's so.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on cursing and social media?
It depends who you are. I mean, you're going to repel people if you curse. But I think it depends on who you are and what you do. If it's part of your brand and you're consistent with it, I think it's okay. I mean, I know someone on social media and that I've met in real life who I love and adore and think that she does great work. And she cusses, but she on social media and in real life. But she works with really sassy ladies, and it's okay with them, and they like her for it. But she's a very strong person, and she does it in a way that's like, this is who I am, and I'm being confident, and this is just me. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's not like in a, oh, that effing person, blah, 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 if that makes sense. Like, it's in her own way, and it's slightly professional. I don't know if she does it, but
I think I know who you're talking about, but I think she does an amazing job.
Yeah.
In being professional. Two worlds collide, and she does it in an amazing way. So if that is your brand, if it isn't your brand, don't try to make it your brand. Don't look at other people, oh gosh, well, she's cursing and she does it in such a great classy way and she's so and meaningful in it. Maybe I should slip here and there. If it's not your brand, it actually will come across as awkward, and people will feel and know like, gosh, what are you doing? This is not you.
Yeah, so I wouldn't curse that much. If I was getting really passionate about something, I think I've dropped a curse word like once on Instagram. But yeah, and that's something, totally lost my train of thought. Sorry, we can move on.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about, for social media, let's talk about processes and things you can do to make your life easier And then this question I have come up all the time, is it okay and is it smart to automatically post on your different platforms? So the example is you post a picture to Instagram and it allows you to automatically post on Facebook and Twitter.
Mhm.
Do you recommend that? What's your thought?
I think it all depends on you, your business, and how much time you have. There are some clients who do really good on one platform, but they want to be on Twitter in case anyone says something to them. But they don't want to sit there and tweet all the time. So I do tell them to send their Instagrams to Twitter. Something, if you're going to do that, there's this site called IFTT. It's if then that. It
Mm-hmm.
creates code, so you can actually put in a code that will make your Instagram picture show up on Twitter. And that's really cool because otherwise it's just a link and it looks like noise. It's just like the sentence isn't complete and there's no image, and it's that's one of my pet peeves on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, using a scheduling program, I think it's great. I do. You have to be careful. I call them social media zombies. People who just schedule and they never interact and they're just pushing out content. But yeah, they're like zombies. They're just there and it's not going to do anything to that, like for them if they're just pushing it out. I use Edgar. I was a Sprout fan, but now I'm like obsessed with Edgar. That's a scheduling program, and it actually saves all of your content. So you put like your tweets, you write your tweets, and then you put them in, and you have a schedule, and it'll refill your spots with tweets that you already tweeted, so that it's never like empty. I always add new ones. That's just in case I want to take a day off, and then it'll just like retweet stuff. And it's okay to send a tweet more than once too, by the way. Sometimes it takes 7 hits before it like resonates with people. So I would say you could tweet the same tweet like every couple days for a month. Okay, so back to scheduling. A lot of people use their Instagram photos for all of the platforms. If you're sending the same exact content over and over to every platform, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you need to be understanding your audience and where they are and give them content that they want. Instagram is a very special community, and I don't think it works the same as Facebook or Twitter. So that's my thoughts on that.
What did you say?
It saves a lot of time. Like having a content calendar and scheduling your posts and your blog posts and your tweets and your Facebook, Instagram, you can't really, well, you can schedule it on Latergram. It saves a lot of time. As long as you're logging in and interacting with people and replying, and if you want to join a Twitter chat to show that you're alive and well, that's all good.
Yeah, that's huge scheduling, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, you just posted on Facebook, but we're sitting here. How did you do that?" Because I always, for my business page, I schedule a lot of stuff, and it helps so much. And people are I get surprised that a lot of people don't know to do that, and I wish, sadly, I wish you could do it on your personal page as well, but right now you can't do that on Facebook. So if I'm an entrepreneur, and I know this will vary based on the industry that we're in or who your target is, but if I don't have a lot of time and I really want to do social media well, I really want to master a platform and kick butt on a particular platform, is it okay to choose one? And how do I figure out what that one is? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook?
I think, okay, it just depends what you do. It's okay to have one. I would say 2. If you want to go with one, go with 2. Because I think that again, it depends what you are, but like for me, I think it's really important that you're on Twitter for customer service sake. You know, maybe you don't have to be growing your following to big amounts, but having a presence in case someone talks to you, because people try to converse in real life on Twitter, that you're available there. You know, it doesn't have, again, it doesn't have to be your focus. And then the other one would just be depending on what you want to do. Pinterest is amazing for web traffic. If you're a blogger, I think that you should be on Pinterest. It's like 70% of my web traffic comes from Pinterest.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah, 80% for me. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. So that's really important, you know, if you want to get people to your website. Facebook, it depends on your audience. I think if you had a Facebook page before and you have a lot of fans already, then it's a good place to be. As a brand new business owner on Facebook, I think it's hard to survive. But again, sometimes I want to run ads, or sometimes my clients want to run ads, and they have to have a Facebook page. And then Instagram. If you can harness the power of Instagram, it'll be really great for you, but it just depends on your business. For me, I get a lot of clients from Instagram. I don't get hardly any web traffic, direct web traffic that I can track. But I get clients, and I make lots of friends and relationships. That's something else that I didn't mention about being an introvert on social media, is that I really approach it as making one relationship at a time. Introverts are really good at making relationships, like deeper relationships. And so that's how I approach social media. And I really try to focus on a couple people at a time. And over time, that becomes a lot of people. So that was kind of a side note.
Oh, I think that was really good. And for those listening, as Elizabeth said, it really kind of depends on exactly who you are, who your target is, what you do, as far as what social media platforms you should prioritize. So what we are actually offering is the opportunity to work with either one of us to do a one-on-one consultation with Elizabeth, and she will actually look at all of your social media platforms, your website, your blog, and just how they link together, but specifically looking at your social media platforms, and then recommend to you some tips and ideas of what you could be doing better. So you can schedule some one-on-one time with Elizabeth, but you can also schedule some one-on-one time with myself, and I will go over branding. So looking at your online presence, again, looking at social media platforms, but specifically your website, your blog, that's your online presence, but even your offline presence, and say, okay, here are some ideas and options that you should think about as you build your brand, specifically depending on who you are, your target, and what you do. So at the very end, we're going to talk about that offer and give you an opportunity to work with us directly, which will be awesome.
This is really important because I tell people that I don't know that much that other people don't know. You can find, I know stuff, but you can find, everything under the sun on Google or Pinterest, but you're not going to get that tailored feedback. You're not going to have someone look at your stuff and tell you what's going to work for you and your business based on your business goals. Just because someone says to tweet 3 times a day doesn't mean that that's going to work for you or your business. That's just a side note.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, like you said, everything you can find on Google. It's funny, I taught my mom how to Google, and so she literally called me like a couple of weeks ago. She's like, you'll be so proud of me. I Googled a question. I'm like, Mom, just type the question. How do you blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I found the answer. It's so exciting. So you literally can Google things and find answers. You might have to, spend a ton of time shoveling through a lot of different posts and articles and stuff to find something that's relevant to you. You could read a ton of books, but it is very valuable when you can speak directly to someone who knows the industry really well and who can look at your specific situation and say, if I were you, this were me, here are the top 3 things that I would do
Yeah.
in your case. So very, very valuable information, saves you headache time for sure.
Yeah, and anyone can call themselves an expert. So, you know, it's hard to tell who you should listen to, and people contradict each other all the time. So, but that's because they need to be looking at your business and you.
Right. And also looking at your goals. I'm sure, Elizabeth, you'll ask your clients, like, what's your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Everyone wants a Facebook page, but why? To get more likes, but why? So really, what's your purpose for social media, and how does that play into your overall marketing strategy, your ultimately your business goals and your business model? So those are all the questions that we as experts need to ask to make sure we're answering the questions right. Okay, we have a question. We have Monique asked, if you're selling a product, hi Monique, yay. If you're selling a product, it's just one product, how often should you be sharing that product online? Actually, specifically on Instagram, how much is too much?
Well, you don't want to just be posting the same product over and over again, because then people have no reason to follow you, because they're like, oh, I know what that product is and I either want it or I don't. And if that's all you're offering, then they're going to probably move on. You know, you can certainly, you know, take pictures of you working and have your little product. I happen to know what your product is. And like have it next to your computer, like a little side peek. You know, and then certainly when you're launching it, you can post it more often. But I would say use it as kind of a personality that weaves into your Instagram account, you know, like it's just there. But not necessarily be like, this is this all the time. I recently went to a conference and this guy said something genius. He was like, if you hear one firework, you're just going to be like, oh, what was that? Like, and then forget about it. If you watch a fireworks show, they're going off, so you're going to pay attention and you're going to focus on it. And that's like sales. If you're just like, oh, hey, I'm here, bang, I'm selling to you, people are going to be like, oh, okay. But if you're offering them value on a daily basis, then they're going to start watching and paying attention.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that creating lifestyle photos on Instagram is so that you're not constantly just pushing product, but it's almost like this little subtle sneak it in, you know, different ways. And it could be a post of you on the beach and you're not talking about your product at all, but of course you have it conveniently sitting there because of course you're reading it, and of course, you know, whatever it may be, you know, so really trying to get good at that. And there are a couple people on Instagram that are just so amazing at doing the lifestyle photos that aren't very salesy and they aren't very pushy. And then just like Elizabeth said, make sure that you're adding value. So you can talk about, you know, tips on, I'm just using my book as an example, tips on branding or tips on setting goals and vision, quotes on vision, whatever it may be. And it's directly linking to your product, but you're not selling the product. There is a 80-20 rule of, what is it, like value, 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 pitch. And so we're providing value, we're giving inspiration, doing these quotes, they all relate back to our product. We're taking these really amazing photos and talking about our life and what we're doing and our products, you know, kind of in the corner. And then after we've done that, then we pitch and we sell, and then we go back to value. So it's just kind of playing that game and thinking of it as a relationship. If you were to sit down and have coffee with me one-on-one and all I did was talk about my book, you would kind of get a little annoyed. But if I spent 80% of that time talking about what we have in common, our shared values, inspiring you, motivating you, you motivate me back, on and on and on. And then when I talk about my book at the end, you're so engaged and you're ready to buy because of that relationship we built. So that's kind of my...
If you create a book or you have a lot of content in there. It's not just your book. It's like, what is this going to do for you? How is this going to change your life? If you buy this book, you're going to be able to live your vision for your business and your life. So you don't have to sell the book at that point, but you can sell the idea and make people understand their vision so that they can have this product to make that happen. So yeah, you have a lot of content already.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Really good question. If you guys have any other questions, please make sure you post them in the Q&A here on the Google Hangout. And we are periodically checking the event page on Facebook as well. So if you have a question, you can post it there too.
And Monique, if you have a follow-up question, we would be happy to answer that too.
I'm just checking my list of questions.
I have this like beautiful sun ray that's like
you're like glowing in the back.
It might get too dark soon.
Let's see. Question I have on social media. Facebook ads. A lot of people ask me about that. Should they do it? How much does it cost? And again, this varies based on the goal of the person. But for someone who knows nothing really about Facebook advertising, what are your thoughts on that?
Facebook ads work really well. I had a client but they're expensive. You have to have some money to spend. For every $1,000 that she spent on Facebook ads, she made $9,000. So that's a really good return rate. People are saying that like Facebook is dead, but it's not true. If you can shell out some money for some Facebook ads, you're going to do really well. But they are expensive, and you're competing with some people who are willing to spend a lot of money too. So, because you bid for the ad space. So like if I'm in social media and I want to run an ad, in order to be seen over someone like Sprout Social or Edgar, who pay a ton of money for Facebook space, I would have to bid close to what they're bidding. So it's expensive. You can also target them to smaller audiences as well. But if you just have a blog post and you want people to read it, you can boost it for $5 just so that more of your people see it, more people that are following your site already. That way you don't have to compete, and it gives you a little boost.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of advertising. Boosting posts is awesome, $5 or $10, and way more people will actually see and engage with the post than if you're just putting it on there. With Facebook algorithms and the way it works now, not everyone who is following your fan page is actually seeing your posts, unfortunately. So that's a really good way to do a tiny bit of money and actually get exposure with the people who already like you. I've worked with some of my clients in the past have had, gosh, this one client of mine literally had $12,000 to spend on Facebook advertising, which I was just kind of jaw dropped on. But big brands have those type of budgets. But even for me personally, what I've done, because I know I want to target women entrepreneurs, I look online to see who's doing that well. I know that Marie Forleo, everyone who's a woman entrepreneur and who's online knows who she is and is following her fan page. So if I can target those people who like her, then I've kind of narrowed my target a little bit more, and I'm spending a couple $100 instead of a couple thousand, and there's still some pretty good return on it. But again, knowing why, what's the purpose? Is it just to get more likes? Is it to sell a product? Is it to get people to attend a webinar? And I think once you kind of go backwards from why you're doing the ads, then you can come up with a good strategy on what you need to do and how to do it on Facebook.
Yeah, and my personal opinion is that if you're spending money on advertising like that, then it should probably be for something that's going to make you money. So if it's for a course or a product or a webinar that's going to be the top of your sales funnel, all of that I think is great. But if you're just, looking to maybe get some traffic to your blog post, I wouldn't spend too much because Pinterest is great at that. So yeah, it's really using the platforms to their strengths as well.
Good. So we have a comment, not really a question, but a comment from Carrie. Hi, Carrie. So glad you're here. She just says, not a question, but just a thanks again for doing one of these talks. I'm learning a lot. Carrie was on our last talk as well, so thanks for joining us again.
And your blog is so good.
Let's say that again. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said Carrie's blog is looking fabulous.
It is. It's looking really good. The content's awesome, and yeah, it's great. Being married, it's all applicable. I'm really enjoying your posts. I'm going to real quickly share my screen and just talk about the offer I mentioned a minute ago. Real quickly, if you guys want to take advantage of that, and then we'll have a little bit more time, maybe 5 minutes or so, to do some more question and answer. So let me find it. I always feel like I lose. There it is. How to share my screen. And it does this weird funnel thing. Ah! Okay. So this is the quick page I want to share with you guys. Like I mentioned before, it's a really great opportunity to be able to talk with someone one-on-one who not only can give you good advice, but who can actually analyze, evaluate what you're doing, your very specific business, take a look at your social media platforms, your branding, and then say, if I were you, here is what I would do to grow your business. Here are some tweaks and changes I would make. So Elizabeth and I are giving you all the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one consultation. So I would actually look at all of your branding, everything online that you have. I would even Google you because that's extremely important, and say, okay, with all of this information, how do we pull together a really solid and really powerful brand to help you grow your business, focus market, and ultimately scale and make more money. So I can do a one-on-one, a 1-hour consultation at $75. Elizabeth is doing something similar, very specifically focused on social media. So again, there's a lot of information out there that you could Google and that you could find on ways to boost your social media, how to link all your pages, how to make sure that you've got a good voice, how to change your social media fans into actual buying clients. What Elizabeth will do is actually look at all of your social media platforms, if you've got Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and even talk you through if you have thoughts of joining something else. We didn't talk about Periscope, which we might when we have a couple minutes left over. But looking at everything you have thus far and saying, if I were you, here's exactly what I would do to grow your social media presence and actually turn your investment, your time and energy in social media into an actual return on that investment. So she will do a one-on-one, 1-hour social media consultation for $75. And if you want the two of us, if you want a dynamic duo to look at both branding and social media, then we can do one-on-one. It would be an hour with Elizabeth, an hour with me, so 2 hours for under $100. And Elizabeth is actually going to post links on the Facebook event page. Hopefully all of you guys are on there. She'll post links, so if you are interested, you can just click on one of those links and schedule it with us. And again, we've got like 5 minutes left, so any burning questions that you have with regard to social media, branding, just post those and let us know. We also will have the replay link as soon as we're done posted up on the Facebook event page as well, so that you can always come back and refer to some of the tips. And Elizabeth mentioned a couple really great websites to manage your social media platforms as well, so you can check those out if you didn't get a chance to write them down.
Yeah. Something else about that is that I have changed my offerings, and you actually can't work with me on a one-off anymore. I only work with people for 4 months at a time. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the talk. But so this is a great opportunity for you to work with me one-on-one and also Olivia. And then you get the branding and the social media.
Yeah, which is so important. You really can't have one without the other. That's what I mean, I've known it for a while, but just really trying to portray to people. We always want to put the cart before the horse. Like you said, we want to throw up a website. We do need to, because we need to have that stuff up there, but you really can't have, you know, branding without social media. And if you are branding yourself, you have to have social media. You have to be online. So they definitely go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to check the Facebook page real quick. Let's talk about the book. We almost didn't talk about it.
The Boss Babe book?
Yeah.
Or your branding book?
The Boss Babe book.
Okay. So if you go to www.iteratesocial.com/bossbabeguide, you can download our Olivia contributed to it, an ebook, and it's 27 pages of social media, branding, and photo styling tips. And it was a collaboration project between 17 experts, which is amazing. You get a lot of different perspectives. And it's a really cool project, and it's been getting so much love. People are just really loving it, and they email me, and it's something that I'm really proud of, and I hope that you go and download it because it's awesome.
Can you say the URL one more time, and then we'll also post the link on the Facebook event page as well?
Yeah. So it's Iterate Social, ITERATE, social.com/boss, BOSS, babe, BABE, guide. Yeah. iteratesocial.com/bossbabeguide.
So make sure you guys go and download that. It's a free 27-page ebook, and like Elizabeth said, there's 17 contributors as well as myself, so you're getting a lot of really bright, amazing, smart women to pour out their social media secrets within this ebook, so make sure you get that. And we're out of time. That's all, folks. But we will be scheduling, we have to schedule another one. I know this was like, it took a minute to get the second one going, but I think we should do another one next month.
Yeah, it's fun. We want to connect with all you lovely people again. So go to the Facebook event. Is there a way to put a link to that?
Yep, I can do it right now so that people can see it.
So you can get the offerings, and you can also get the link for the Boss Babe Guide. And ask more questions if you want to.
Yep, so I just put it in the showcase. It should be loading. I think this is it. Potentially. It should be on the side of your guys' screen. I'll try one more time. Yep, there it is. So you guys can click on that. Make sure you're part of the event page, because we'll be updating it every month as we do new chats with new questions. Take advantage of the offer, schedule a one-on-one consultation. Your business will thank you. And then definitely download the ebook as well. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.